Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the pre-release notes for the 4.8 patch that's going to be introducing Kaldheim to Puzzle Quest. So, let's get into it. Now, as a general disclaimer, these notes just came out today, and they aren't complete yet. So there's a few things in here that are minor question marks. So we'll have to address those as we get to them. But lots of exciting stuff here. So first thing is we've got a few new mechanics. So we've got Boast, we've got Foretell, we've got Changeling, we've got Snow, and we've got Herald as new mechanics. So that's going to be pretty mechanic heavy with 5 new ones. Boast is going to work very much like it does in Paper Magic. So when a Boast creature attacks, the creature's owner may drain mana from their hand at their next turn to activate the Boast ability. So you'll see that there's going to be a number in the little axe, and then that number just is going to represent how much mana you have to drain in order to get the Boast to activate. The second ability is going to be Foretell. And so in Puzzle Quest, when a card with Foretell is exiled, and I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is going to be from your hand. If it includes when it's exiled from your library or when it's exiled from play, then you can probably get some pretty wacky things going by having things from your library exiled. So I'd be interested to read the exact text on that in-game, but when a card with Foretell is exiled, a Foretold token support related to the exiled card is created on the board. So basically you have that card with Foretell in your hand, and then you exile it, and then a support will appear on the board. Now, if you actually look at the cards that have them, and so if you don't want to see a spoiler of the new cards, this is your time to just sort of click away. But when you have a card with Foretold in your hand, let's say that we have this mammoth right here, this battle mammoth, you'll see that all the cards have this little number underneath the little eye, or I guess in the eye, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and throw out a guess that that number is going to represent how many shields the support is going to have. So it's going to have some number of shields. My guess is that the number is going to be how many shields, because there are different numbers on the different cards that have Foretold. So that's just my guess. Right? And then when that support is destroyed, the exiled card is going to return to its owner's hand with full mana. And then it will have a new icon for Foretold, which is going to grant some additional effects to happen, right? So let's say that we go back to our set here, right? And so we take a look at Battle Mammoth. So if you Foretell the Mammoth, so you exile it from your hand, you're going to, I'm guessing, create a support that has 4 shields. And then when that support is destroyed, then the Battle Mammoth is going to get returned to your hand, and it will be Foretold. So it'll be returned to your hand with full mana, you're going to cast it, and then when you cast it, because it's Foretold, you're then going to reinforce the Battle Mammoth. So instead of coming into play as a 9/8, it'll be coming into play as an 18/16, which is pretty cool. So that's Foretold, or Foretell and Foretold, right? Then we've got Changelings. So in Puzzle Quest, Changeling is going to function the exact same way that it does in Paper Magic. So the creature is just going to gain every creature subtype. And then we've got Snow. So Snow is going to be pretty interesting here. So Snow is going to be a gem-based mechanic. And so it's going to be kind of like Energize or Activate Gems, right? Where you're going to be making snow gems. And so it's a gem-based mechanic that works by creating synergy between cards with the Snow ability, and then these new special Snow gems. A Snow gem is going to be a special gem, so it's going to have its own special animation that can give extra mana to cards with the Snow Evergreen. Also, some cards are going to gain additional effects if cast with Snow mana. I'd be interested to see how much extra mana is granted to cards that have the Snow Evergreen, as the cards that do have the Snow Evergreen don't necessarily say that they're going to be getting bonus mana from matching Snow Gems. However, there are a lot of them that say that they get bonus effects from you matching the Snow Gem. So if we go back to the set again, and we go ahead and pull up one of the new cards with Snow, like Berg Strider over here, right? So if this card gains snow mana, when you cast a card, create 2 snow gems. So basically, if you matched the snow gems to gain mana for the card, then you're going to get bonus effects based on having done that. So there's some pretty cool stuff that you can definitely do with that, depending on what all winds up having the snow stuff. So we're going to have to see how that is going to work in game. And then finally, we've got Herald. So Herald is an adaptation for double-sided cards with god creatures at one of the sides. So if you are unfamiliar with paper Kaldheim, Kaldheim's paper variant has gods in it. And the gods are these double-sided creature on one side and then something on the other side. Maybe an artifact, maybe a planeswalker in the form of Tibble, or, other stuff like that. So with Herald, what's going to happen is it's going to make it so that when a card with Herald, so one of the new gods, enters play, the first cast is always going to display, so it's always going to play the non-god side. That card is not going to be able to be reinforced, and then when you cast that card for a second time, if you still control the non-god side, then you're going to get the new version, which is going to be the god that's going to appear on the battlefield. So let's say that we were to take, Halvar. All right, so we go over to Halvar, and Halvar, as you'll see in Paper Magic, is a creature on its primary side, and then on the back side, on the flip side, it becomes an equipment. So the way that this is going to work in Puzzle Quest is you will only be able to cast Sword of the Realms at first, and then once you've cast Sword of the Realms, if Sword of the Realms is still on the battlefield and you try and cast another Halvar, then the Halvar is going to come out also. So just something to watch out for here, right, is that all of the gods, you're guaranteed to be getting the back side of the god first, the front side of the god second. So this is actually going to work out like crazy strong with one of the gods that has sort of like indirectly been spoiled in one of the background art things. But we'll get into that when we go over like what are some of my chase cards and stuff. Along with the 5 new mechanics, we're getting, I want to say 5 new Planeswalkers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Yep. Cool beans. 5 Planeswalkers. So that's quite a lot of Planeswalkers to be adding to the game, so that'll be really cool. The first of those Planeswalkers is going to be a red-black Tibble. If you don't want to see spoilers for the Planeswalkers, this would be a good time to click away also. Just giving you a hot second. There we go. So Tibble is red-black. Tibble is really sweet in that he's got that +5/+5 mana bonus. I know that a lot of you guys really like the +5/+5 on your dual color walkers. And so we're going to be seeing that on Tibble, and we're going to be seeing that on another one of the walkers in just a minute. So for Tibble's 3 abilities, the first ability is Disguised in Pain. So you activate the ability, you're going to create 3 red devil tokens. If an opposing creature is dealt damage, create 2 demon berserker tokens instead. So then each non-token opposing card gains enchanted. When this card is destroyed, exile it instead of it going to its opponent's graveyard. Now, just from reading this, I don't see how an opposing creature would be dealt damage by you playing the red devil tokens. I know that the red devil tokens, when they die, they're going to do damage. So I'm wondering if it's like create 3 red devil tokens, and then the red devil tokens maybe have this added thing so that when they die, you get these berserker tokens or something. It's not quite clear. So we're going to have to see about that one. That's one of those little question marks that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. It's just not worded clearly enough that makes total sense. The second ability is called Imposter's Trickery, and this ability is an absolute beast of an ability. So this one, you're going to create an Imposter's Trickery token, and then you're going to exile the first opposing non-token creature and an opposing non-token artifact support. So right there, you just go boom, boom. You're going to exile 2 things for this, and you're going to bypass hexproof, which is really, really nice. And then if that wasn't enough, that Imposter's Trickery is going to make it so that while it's on the board, your token creatures and your copy creatures gain haste. And if that wasn't enough, when an opposing non-token creature or artifact support is exiled from anywhere, create a copy of that card into play under your control. That card gains enchanted. At the end of your turn, destroy this card. So this is absolutely bonkers because that means that you're going to use your second ability, Imposter's Trickery. You're going to exile an opposing creature and maybe even a support also. And then if you exile a creature and or a support, you're going to get them back on the battlefield for the turn under your control. And if that wasn't enough just for that one turn, because that's an incredibly powerful ability on its own, it also is going to make it so that whenever an opposing non-token creature is exiled from anywhere, right? Anywhere includes graveyard. So let's say that you're playing a Tibble mill deck, which is going to be very reasonable to try and do because of nonsense like Garuda, right? And then you exile your opponent's graveyard. All the creatures that are in your opponent's graveyard are going to be able to come back to the battlefield under your control as haste tokens. So that's pretty darn sweet. And then they're going to get destroyed. But as this Tibble says, when the non-token creatures, well, they're non-token. I'm getting ahead of myself. Shame on you, Nalthazar. I'm just excited, guys. I'm excited. We're getting new stuff. It's always exciting to get new stuff. I'm trying to think of all the cool things we can do with that stuff so I can share it. But Imposter's Trickery is really strong. And then for the third ability, we've got God of Lies. So if your opponent doesn't control a card named Tibble Cosmic Imposter, create a copy of that card under your opponent's control. Otherwise, your opponent loses all their loyalty. Then you gain 2 mana and deal 3 damage to your opponent's Planeswalker for each different card in... Now, my guess is in exile or in their exile, but we'll have to see when they finish spoiling this Planeswalker. This Planeswalker is not fully spoiled because we cannot read what the bottom of this does. I'm guessing exile because of the previous 2 abilities, and this Planeswalker generally deals with exile, but I don't know. Now, the Tibble Cosmic Imposter that you're going to be putting on your opponent's side is going to be a black-red Vanguard with 5 shields. And then it has a passive ability, which is going to be, well, when you cast the card, you can exile. Your opponent's not casting it, so you don't have to worry about that. That's just the spoiler for the Vanguard part itself. The part that you have to worry about for Tibble are the 2 passive abilities on the bottom. So passive ability number 2, when you activate a loyalty ability, exile the first card without mana from your hand, right? Remember that these apply to your opponent because it's going on to your opponent's side of the battlefield. So whenever your opponent activates a loyalty ability, they're going to exile the first card without mana from their hand. So they decide to activate loyalty abilities, cool, they're going to be losing cards from their hand. Then there's another passive ability that makes it so that when your opponent's first creature attacks, it gets +4/+0 until end of turn, but then deals X damage to their Planeswalker, where X is that creature's power. So when I first read this, I was like, wait, I'm going to be buffing my opponent's creatures, and then they're going to be dealing damage to me equal to the critter's power? Why would I ever want to do this? But then in my Discord, someone was very kind to enlighten me that I was just reading it incorrectly, and so Tibble Cosmic Imposter actually looks pretty cool. At the very least, is part of Tibble's third ability. So I really like the look of new Tibble. I'm very excited to try him out. Our second new Planeswalker is Tyvark. If I'm pronouncing any of these incorrectly, as some of you who are into the whole lore scene of Magic will, I'm sure, kindly tell me in the comment section, please let me know. So for Tyvark, this is an elf-themed mono-green Planeswalker. His 3 abilities are going to start with Whispers of the Aenir. And so you're going to create a Whispers of the Aenir token. Then target elf creature you control gets +3/+3, gains Berserker and Death Touch. The gaining of Berserker and Death Touch and the +3/+3 are all permanent additions. The Whispers of the Aenir is going to be a black-green support, which I think is kind of interesting given that this is a mono-green Planeswalker, but yet it's making a black-green support. So, I don't know, just something that we haven't seen yet. So, this support is going to be an emblem. It's going to have 3 shields. And when an elf card enters play under your control, convert a gem to green. When an elf creature you control dies, convert a gem to black. Each of these effects can trigger up to 4 times per turn. So I'm kind of bummed that can only trigger 4 times per turn, especially given this guy's second ability, which we're about to go over. But nonetheless, that's still a pretty decent ability when you factor in the other elfy stuff. So his second ability, Elven Ambush, you're going to create 9 elf warrior tokens and then reinforce all of your elf creatures. This is where I was saying it's too bad that that first ability can only activate 4 times. Otherwise, you'd use your second ability and then you would convert 12 gems to green, 9 gems to green, which would be super cool. I was reading the 12 loyalty cost, and then in my sleep-addled mind, I was like, what? Ignore that bit. You're gonna convert 4 gems to green. That's all there is to it. But it would be really cool if it converted more than that to green. And if we can get some elf leader nonsense going, that'll be extra sweet. Then the third ability is going to be the Old Ways. Your elf creatures get +X and gain Death Touch. X is 5 plus the number of that creature's reinforcements. Those creatures gain Enchanted. When this creature is reinforced, draw a card. It gains half of its mana. So this is definitely really cool with the second ability. That means that anytime that you pop your second ability, if you've popped your third ability to enchant that second ability token, then each time that you make one of those little elf tokens, or really you use it, you're gonna draw 6 cards, right? Because you're creating 9 elf warrior tokens, meaning you're gonna be reinforcing it 9 times. Well, 10 because of the elf then reinforce your elf creatures. And then you're going to draw 6 cards and give them all half mana. So it seems like a really cool draw engine. I think that because of the loyalty costs of all of these, it might wind up being a little bit too expensive for you to be able to just totally loyalty yourself out there. But nonetheless, if we get some other cool elf stuff to go in this set, then this could definitely be a really fun shenanigans planeswalker. I also really like that this planeswalker has +5 to green. That's the highest green mana bonus of any monocolored planeswalker. It's tied with one of the Vivians, who also has +5. But nonetheless, having +5 on a green walker, especially a mono green walker, is huge, especially with all of the green conversion we have now. So this walker seems more like a cool walker than like a super power walker, but I'm excited to play with it. The next one on our list is new Kaeya, Kaeya the Inexorable. So Kaeya the Inexorable is going to be a brand new white-black planeswalker. You'll see that she has joined the Sith Lords and has a lightsaber, or maybe she uses that for something else. I don't know. But I'm not going to get into that. Anyways, Kaeya, new Kaeya. She does not have the +5/+5 sweet bonus that we were talking about a little bit earlier. She's got the +4/+4/+2 with 2 -1s. Her 3 abilities are Glorious Death, with Untold Demise, and Omens of the End. Glorious Death is going to make it so that target non-token creature you control gets +4/+4 and gains Berserker permanently. Then that creature gains Enchanted. When this creature dies, you're going to exile it and make 4 white and black spirit tokens. So I'm not that isn't going to be like separate white and black tokens. Those are just going to be 4 white black spirit tokens, right? So it sounds like, hey, maybe I'll get 8 tokens. No, you're getting 4 tokens. They're just white black 1/1 flyers. So total of 4/4 flying for your critter dying. The second ability is Untold Demise. Exile target opposing non-token creature. Nope. Yep. Exile target opposing non-token creature into your exile. If you can't, exile the first creature card in your opponent's hand into your exile. Then your token creatures get +X/+X. X is the exiled creature's base power. So this exiles something, and then it puts it into your exile. Now this could be really interesting, especially if your opponent is playing with cards that have Foretold, and especially if Foretold isn't a mechanic that just needs to be exiled from your hand. If that's the case, then when you're using Untold Demise, you're going to be exiling your opponent's stuff, and then you're going to be potentially getting it on your side of the battlefield, which could kind of be interesting. I know that I'm not a huge fan of playing with my opponent's stuff in general, but nonetheless, that could be kind of cool just to get your opponent's Foretold stuff for free. Then the third ability is going to be Omens of the End. So you're going to create an Omens of the End token. Then you're going to exile the first 6 cards from your library. Then you gain 3 life and your opponent loses 3 life for each creature card in your exile. That Omens of the End is going to be an emblem with 4 shields. And when you cast your second card each turn, the first card in your hand that can gain mana gains full mana. Then, if you control a legendary card, repeat this effect. So basically, if you do not control a legendary card, you cast your second card in a turn. The first card in your hand that can get mana, that does not have full mana, is going to gain full mana. And then, if you do have a legendary card, then when you cast your second card, the first 2 cards in your hand that don't already have full mana are going to get full mana. So you're going to be able to play a whole bunch of stuff as long as you're able to play 2 things in a turn, which could be pretty cool. I definitely like the general look of this planeswalker. She doesn't really seem that strong to me, though. Like, her first ability is not like, oh my gosh. Her second ability is really nice for removal, which I really like. But then it's just that it only buffs the token creatures that you control. And so, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe you're going to be playing some angels because there are some sweet, sweet angels in this set. But I don't know. We'll have to see about Kaeya. I'll have to play her to make a final determination. But she definitely doesn't seem strong. She just looks interesting. Our next one is going to be Nico Eris. Aris? Ari? I don't know this one. They don't look French. Whatever. Anyways, so Nico Eris. All right, I'm just going to say Nico Eris, and if I'm wrong, just correct me, right? Aris? I'm going to say Aris. That's what it's going to be. Nico Aris. So for Nico Aris is going to be a brand new white-blue planeswalker. Nico Aris is going to have that sweet, sweet +5/+5 that I was talking about earlier. So this is going to be our first white-blue planeswalker that gets that +5/+5. For the first ability, you're going to create a Shards of Reality token. Then you're going to exile the first 4 cards from your library. If a support is exiled this way, you're going to draw a card. If a spell is exiled this way, you gain 3 mana. And then the Shards of Reality token is going to be an emblem with 3 shields. And when a support is destroyed from play, draw a card. It gains X mana. X is the number of this support's reinforcements. So this immediately screams Foretold to me, because in exiling the first 4 cards from your library, once again, if Foretold winds up being a mechanic where if it's just exiled from anywhere, then you use this ability and all the Foretold stuff that you exile is just going to immediately turn into supports on the battlefield that, when they are destroyed, are going to turn into free cards in your hand. And then when the support is destroyed from play, so basically when any of those Foretold supports that you've just put onto the battlefield are destroyed from play, you're going to draw a card and give it X mana, where X is the number of the Shard's reinforcements. Now, let's face it, you're probably not going to be reinforcing this Shard very much, so you're really not going to be giving very much mana to the card that you're drawing, but nonetheless, it is going to get you a whole bunch of stuff onto the battlefield for free, basically, and then you're going to get additional card draw out of that. So that first ability is actually looking a lot better than I originally thought it was, especially if Foretold works in a way that is not just exile it from your hand, but we'll just have to see. The second ability, Dimensional Rift, is going to disable target creature until the beginning of your next turn. Then draw 2 cards and deal X damage to all disabled creatures. Those cards gain X mana. X is the number of cards in your hand. So at 15 loyalty, I think the second ability is a bit steep. Disabling a creature until the beginning of your next turn is definitely nice. Drawing cards and dealing damage to all disabled cards is nice. And then those cards gaining mana is definitely nice too, especially if you draw and the 2 cards and then you give them both 6 mana for having a full hand of 6. But it just doesn't scream like, oh my gosh. Like it's very situational is how I see that. The third ability, Glimpse of the Multiverse. Your creatures gain unblockable, get +X/+X, and are reinforced Y times. X is going to be the number of cards in your hand, so that means that they're going to get a power toughness boost of up to 6/6. And then Y is the number of cards in your hand with full mana, so that means that they're going to be able to be reinforced up to 6 times. So up to a 6/6 buff, then up to 6 reinforcements. So if this does work with Foretold or Foretell, as I'm thinking it will, then let's say that you get all your Foretell pops, and so you get 6 cards directly to your hand with full mana because Foretell pops, and let's say that you're playing, I don't know, Urza with this or any of the other blue gem conversion shenanigans that exists in Puzzle Quest, right? Because that's a reasonable thing to assume. Then you're probably going to have a hand with a whole bunch of cards with mana, and so you're just going to be able to reinforce all of your critters, and then you're going to be able to pop kill your opponent. So this definitely seems like a cool planeswalker. That's another one where I'm not sure if it's going to be top tier, but at the same time, I really like how it's going to potentially work with the Foretell mechanic. So it's one of those, I'm really excited to see how does Foretell actually work, and if it works how it sounds like it's going to work, then that will be really cool. Which brings us to our last new planeswalker, which is Serra the Benevolent. Serra the Benevolent is a planeswalker that I'm personally very excited for. So Serra the Benevolent is a mono-white planeswalker. She's got that super sweet +7 to white bonus with +3 to blue and to green. She basically has an exact mirror to Elspeth Sun's Champion's mana bonuses, which are fantastic mana bonuses. And then for her 3 abilities, her first ability is going to be Angelic Destiny. It's going to make it so that target creature you control gets a permanent +4/+4 and gains first strike and flying, and it also becomes an angel, which is very important for the next bit. So the second ability, Serra Archangel, is going to create a Radiant Serra Archangel token. Then your other angel creatures get +3/+3 and gain bravery. But here's the important piece, right? So that Radiant Serra Archangel token over here on the bottom is a white critter. It's an angel, it's a token, it's legendary, it's got flying, and most importantly, it's got leader. So that means it's going to have leader, angel. And when an angel creature you control attacks, this creature gets +2/+2 and gains protection from your opponent's planeswalker colors until the beginning of your next turn. Now, what's really important about this is that ability number 2 is going to create an angel with angel leader on the battlefield. And the first ability is going to make it so that you can make any of your creatures on the battlefield an angel. And so, since this is a mono white planeswalker, our white lands make little human tokens. We've got that new mythic core spell that puts out 18 core little tokens. Well, you can just use Angelic Destiny on those core tokens. Those core tokens do have a destiny. It is to become an angel and then to get eaten by the Radiant Serra Archangel, which will feast on them and get hella swole and then use her big swole muscles to beat the living crap out of your opponent's planeswalkers. This looks super awesome. You're going to be taking this 4/6 and you're going to be giving it so many sweet reinforcements from angel tokens. We got a lot of things in the set that are going to be making angel tokens. We got a lot of things in general that make tokens, and so you could just make a deck that just has all sorts of different tokens, spam that Angelic Destiny to turn them into angels, and make Serra Archangel absolutely feast on them. As a person who got into Magic because of the art and also because I think that angels are fantastic, I absolutely love this planeswalker. And I haven't even gotten to the third ability yet. So third ability, Angelic Renewal. You create an Angelic Renewal token. You exile each creature card from your graveyard. Then you gain 2 life for each cleric exiled this way, and your angel creatures get +1/+1 for each warrior exiled this way. Okay, hold on. So the Angelic Renewal token. Let's start with that. So that's going to be an emblem with 4 shields, and it will read, when a non-token creature you control dies, you can exile it. When a creature card is exiled from your graveyard, you create a Vigilant Angel token. So basically, a non-token creature you control dies, you exile it, and then boom, you get a Vigilant Angel token. When you foretell a card from your hand, you create a Vigilant Angel token. So you don't even have to pay the mana, right? If it's foretell, it doesn't say like the foretold thing. When you foretell a card from your hand, so you exile it from your hand, that should be just an immediate Vigilant Angel token that drops down on the battlefield. Assuming that I'm understanding that correctly, and I do think that I am. So this just makes it so that you kind of turn those critters in your, or those foretell cards in your hand into, like, I don't know, cycling, but you don't pay mana and you get angel tokens out of it, which, you know, is cool enough to me. But nonetheless, the thing that really stands out to me about Serra the Benevolent is this super sweet +7 to white, and then these first 2 abilities, Angelic Destiny and Serra Archangel. I can't wait to play with this planeswalker. She looks awesome. I don't know that she's going to be like an S-tier planeswalker, but I do get the feeling that she'll be very fun to play with, and she'll definitely feel very strong. So, we've got a new event. Actually, we got 2 new events. The first one is called Doomscar Claimants. This is going to be a new PvP Coalition event. There's no entrance fee. It's going to be standard. All planeswalker colors are allowed. There's going to be 3 nodes. All nodes are unlocked from the beginning. There's going to be a recharge time on your nodes of 8 hours. You're going to start with 1 charge on your nodes, and you're going to have a max number of charges of 4. It's going to be a 46-hour event. So pretty standard for our recent PvP events. Then we're going to be getting Scotty Bloodline. This is going to be a new PvP event. It's going to have rank rewards, and it's going to have progression rewards, which is cool. It's going to have an entrance fee of 20 mana crystals, so it's going to be one of those buy-in events. It's standard, and then this is the part here that really stood out to me, and it's something that I'm actually pretty excited about. It's something that I've been hoping they would do something like for a while now. So only monocolored planeswalkers of any color are allowed. So what I really like about this is it's going to restrict the planeswalkers that we can use. It means that we're not going to be running into a whole bunch of like brocons in this particular event, or like, I don't know, Teferi, or probably not Urza, or definitely not Bolas. So we're only going to be running monocolor walkers in this event. And so I really like that is going to limit some of the shenanigans that are going to happen. So there are 3 nodes. They're all unlocked from the beginning. The one real downside to this event, though, is like, look at this. We got a 6-hour recharge timer on that. I know that these patch notes are subject to change. I really hope that that gets knocked to 8 hours because 6-hour recharges are just a little bit too grindy for me. You'd start with one charge. You have a max number of 4 charges, and the event is going to be 46 hours. So Scotty Bloodline is an event that I am definitely looking forward to. I'll definitely at the very least give that 6-hour recharge timer a chance, but just if I'm like thinking of how events have gone historically, I do hope that that changes to 8 hours before this event goes live. There are some card changes, just very minimal ones. So Peer into the Abyss got changed. Before playing with it, it kind of felt like it was bugged where you'd play it if your opponent had a full hand and then just nothing would happen. And so now it's going to say that you can only target a player that can draw cards to draw 6 cards, right? And then that player is going to gain 30 loyalty and lose half of their life rounded up. So this is just a good fix. Yeah, solidly good fix. Following tokens are going to get brand new subtypes. So the Vigilant Angel tokens are now also going to be having the Warrior subtype. Be careful if you're playing these Angel tokens with a Warrior leader, because these Angel tokens are probably going to have a greater power toughness than our 3/3 Warrior leader, and you don't want that Warrior leader to be eating up your Vigilant Angels. Human Soldiers are now also going to be gaining the Warrior subtypes. So they're now going to be Human Soldier Warriors. I wonder if at some point we're just going to be getting like Human Soldier Warrior Cyclops Diva. I have no idea. Something. I don't know. It just feels like a lot of tokens are getting a lot of extra types, which is really cool for leader. I have absolutely no problem with it. I believe very strongly in letting these tokens identify however it is that they want. And the more ways in which they identify, great. That means more things with leader are going to get on their bandwagon, and that's going to make the game more fun. So, gold tokens. Gold tokens shield is now 1. Gold tokens now cannot be reinforced, and gold tokens are now a treasure subtype. So that's cool for cards that get, extra stuff for treasure. Dwarf tokens are now going to have the Berserker subtype added, so just another thing that's also going to be getting getting a new subtype. And then they're going to go from being 1/1s to 2/1s. So because of this, they're going to be tweaking some of the Dwarf cards. So Dwarfen Blood Boiler, the Dwarf ability is going to be giving them +3/+0 instead of +2/+0. The creature also gained haste, so now it has both haste and bravery, which, okay, cool beans. Dwarven Mine is now spawning 2 dwarf tokens instead of 3. Dwarven Mine is the common convert 2 red gems, or 2 gems to red, and then make 2 dwarf tokens. But now because they're 2/1 tokens, it means that we're going to be getting a 4/2 instead of a 3/3 on the battlefield. I'm totally cool with that. That's all gravy by me. Karavek is getting changed, and for those of you who love Karavek, I'm really sorry about this. Karavek's getting axed in between the legs, right hard in the chompers. So Karavek used to read while it's on the battlefield, your other critters get -2/-2. Sorry, your other critters. All other critters get -2/-2. And when another creature is reinforced, that creature gets -3/-3. Then it has the Morbid, but we're going to ignore that because that's not changing. So it's going to be changing too at the beginning of each player's turn. Other creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, which means that it's no longer going to be a static creatures get -2/-2. It's going to be happening at the beginning of each player's turn. And then it's going to say when another creature is reinforced, that creature gets -3/-3. This effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. So basically, it just means that Karavek is not going to be able to get rid of all the tokens and all the land from all the people and all the bands. So it also means that Karavek is not going to be able to cause any infinite loops, which, is nice given that Greg doesn't always stop infinite loops from happening. But at the same time, it just sort of neuters Karavek. So that's too bad. Other changes. The text for Adamant and Identity were reverted to correspond to their current behavior. I'm laughing a little bit just because I feel like this has been in like every single patch notes for a while. It just keeps changing to fit what it is that's happening. But basically, Adamant it currently has whenever you match X or more gems with swaps to now when you match X or more gems during the fight. So basically, you don't need to swap for Adamant anymore. You can use gem conversion, and that's going to be fine. And then for Identity, it was reading when you match X or more gems of your Planeswalker's colors with swaps, and now it's just going to be when you match X or more gems of your Planeswalker's colors. So it should just be that it won't be based on swaps. There's some fixes. There's really not a whole lot of fixes in the patch notes. I have a feeling that there will be more. So they fixed some minor text issues. They fixed an issue with Celestial Ancient. They fixed an issue with Zixara the Exemplary. Tokens would not get debuffed when they were created. I feel like they tried to fix that once a little bit ago. It just didn't quite work out. So they fixed an issue regarding the card cost not being reduced by Mana Wheel in the Colors of Magic event. This is a hugely wonderful fix because if you played that Mana Wheel, you can't actually gain mana. You can only have the mana cost of your cards in your hand reduced. And so there, for one of the nodes, I want to say it was a bottom node, there was a bug where like some of the cards in your hand just couldn't get their mana reduced, and it was kind of like there was definitely some specific thing that was causing that to happen. But I'm really glad that that's not going to be bugged anymore, and so now you should just be able to freely play the cards in your hand. Fixed an issue in the interaction between Liliana Death's Majesty's Anoint ability and Kaeya's Burial Rites ability. Not sure what the issue was there, but any fix is good. Fixed an issue with a prompt box would have the wrong title in Crush of Tentacles. Oh man, wrong prompt box. Did it just say yes, please? Never mind. I'm sure that you guys aren't tentacle lovers. I'm not. I'm just amused by it. That's all. Moving on. Fixed an issue with the infinity loading happening sometimes when claiming the daily reward. Okay, yep, that definitely happened to me. We're good with that. Fixed an issue where a creature gained the elemental subtype from Crawling Barrens and then would not lose the subtype when destroyed or exiled. Now that is sweet right there, right? Yep, you give some token that doesn't deserve elemental subtype the elemental subtype, and well, just then it's an elemental, which is kind of cool. And then finally, fixed an issue where the opponent's Bronzehide Lion would give the enchanted evergreen to the player's creature. Oh man, yeah, you don't want that. You're giving your opponent's critters that prevent damage. That's not what you want. So finally, we've got the card gallery. I'm gonna wait to go over the cards in Kaldheim until they have spoiled everything. So in this, right, you'll see that it says Kaldheim card gallery 1 of 3. So we're gonna be getting some more spoilers from Kaldheim. We've got 2 more waves of them. So I'm going to wait for all of them to come out, and then I'll just compile my usual lists of like commons, uncommons, rares, mythics, and masterpieces, right? So thanks so much for watching, especially if you've made it all the way this far. I know this is long, but so go the videos about new patches, new sets, all of that goodness. I'm really excited for this. I'm eager to hear what you guys are most excited for. Let me know in the comments which Planeswalker you're the most excited for. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.